All right, me. It is January 2nd, 2025. And this is more or less my wrap video for 2024. I'm going to talk about life, liberty, and teaching. So, teaching wise, I taught my first semester and I had English 3 and English 4. And for my English 4s, we did Macbeth, then we went into Beowulf, and then Picture of Dorian Gray, Modest Proposal, and then the Hound of the Baskervilles. So those were the main 5 pieces that we did. And then for my English 3s, we did The Crucible, then we went to the Declaration, and then Catcher in the Rye, and then a small poetry unit at the very end. So we only did 4 units for that, but part of that is because of the insanity that was involved with English 3s, and all of the other things dealing with inside of the school. So, that's that. But the books that we taught, I would say that none of them were real hits. Because for some of them, I'm going to mostly think about English 4s, just because I had 2 classes of them. For my English 4s, Macbeth was a terrible lead into it. I didn't do well introducing it, I didn't do well with them getting them initially engaged, but it was by far the piece that they knew and understood the most at the very end of the year, right? Had a very, very fun movie with it in Scotland, PA, which is, that's such a fun version of Macbeth. They understood it quite, enough. And so the lead in was bad, but the teaching was good. Beowulf was just bad all around. They just weren't interested in it. I'm not super interested in it. Picture of Dorian Gray, the lead in went perfect. It was great, it was fantastic. We talked about what does it mean to be a person, what is, consequences, AI, and those things. And then the book itself was just such a letdown. And part of it is, well, the way that the curriculum is structured is that, you can only do so many things. You only can have access to so many things, but also all of the things that have been bought in the previous 3 years aren't on that list. So therefore it's now useless. It's a whole ordeal, because they switched curriculums and they didn't incorporate everything that they were supposed to. And then with the same time as administration changing, that all kind of falls apart. So that's that. So yeah, Picture of Dorian Gray was just, it was too high level for my kids, right? It's because it's so much theory and so much dialogue, right? And there's no action in it for them. And then Modest Proposal went okay. Really strong idea for what is supposed to happen with it, which is we introduce Modest Proposal and then they're supposed to create their own Modest Proposal and do a 2-minute short. But just the getting them to understand more than just surface level things, just not possible, right? They didn't want to think about anything, and so trying to use satire in that way ended up falling pretty flat, unfortunately. So that was disappointing, but yeah, so I think that's pretty much kind of the wrap up of the books I taught. English 3s were English 3s. I didn't have a super interested in class in terms of wanting to learn. So yeah, it was kind of overall a disappointing kind of first semester in teaching. But yeah. However, that is disappearing from my life, because I will be moving back up to Indiana here pretty shortly, because of personal things, but also because I got offered a very nice job, which I'll be starting here pretty soon. So I'm going to be starting out this semester, and then just about a month in, I'm gonna be heading back to Indiana. So, it's, in terms of teaching, right? I really enjoyed teaching. I really enjoyed, for the most part, really enjoyed the books that I got to teach. Right? I didn't really like Beowulf, and then teaching the Declaration is not really fun, because the kids don't understand why we're looking at it, even no matter how many times you actively tell them, because they see it as a historical thing, and they think, well, why aren't we just doing this in social studies? But they don't, there's never a point in their mind where they want to switch and want to think about anything else in any other different way. So yeah, that was a little rough. But yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to wanting to look and see a way out, especially through education, right? One of the things that I've really kind of learned about being in this district that I'm in and where I am in North Carolina, is that so many students and a lot of the adults here can't go beyond, right? They feel like they are, I don't know if it's that they feel like they're stuck here, or if it is that they're never encouraged to think outside of this place, right? And so, even though that there is a huge population of first generation or immigrant families that have just moved here, even they get stuck in this trap and cycle of, you're going to be here and you're always going to be here, right? The vast majority of teachers that I'm with, and people that I interact with outside of the students, were born here, raised here, and will die here, or they were born here, went away to college, and then came back. I'm one of the very few people, or the third one is born and raised somewhere else and then come here to retire, right? And so there's so few people that I meet. I think I've only met like 3 other people that are from somewhere else and moved here willingly of their own accord while they were still young, right? Or while they had the choice to make that move. So it's just a very, very interesting and different dynamic. But then part of that becomes because they're so surrounded by people who don't leave and don't move on, and don't ever see themselves anywhere else, they don't see themselves anywhere else. And therefore, it's a continuous cycle of people being here all the time, right? And never thinking of leaving, of using education or abilities or anything to take the next step, and to go somewhere else. So yeah, it was, in terms of that, it was really disappointing, because it just became this endless cycle of apathy towards what we're doing, because to them it didn't matter, right? And it never will matter to them. So that was really unfortunate, but that's that. On the books I read throughout the year, I couldn't even tell you the majority of books I read, because I read so many of them while I was substitute teaching, and then I've read a pretty good chunk of books here too, but like even then, you know, a huge chunk of that became the the Tunnel series and things like the Woody Allens and, you know, books that I didn't necessarily enjoy, which I think in turn made this a lot more difficult, just because I was just reading a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily enjoy. So yeah, that's kind of the wrap up of 2024. I'm moving again. I probably won't get as much time to read, but I do have a lot of pocket-sized books that I've been saving, so that will kind of balance out, I think. So who knows? Who knows?